brother, you come? I said, what? It opened it up. It's on the Israeli news. I said, what? Hey, I'm on my way. Israel quietly opens its borders. That's right. Oh, that's August. My bad. Oh, that's
August. I'm looking. Yeah. You best believe it. It's in your lesson. You put your first thing up there.
Yeah, I started putting it on here.
That's what you should have
I said, nah, let me wait.
Yeah.
All right.
I know I'm checking.
Okay.
All right. All right. This might be the last part, 25. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. All right.
There we go.
Yes. Okay. So understanding the whole book, part 25. So this one here, we're going to talk a little bit about fighting, the fight between the two seeds and the reuniting of the tribes, how this is going to actually start to move along. So we'll talk about that today. And I guess I'll just use what I got. Normally have the thing, but I'll just use it. It's all good. All right, so the rules. Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There is a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds. I repeat, you have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. All right. So we're going to go get started here. All right. So the test started in the wilderness, right? So it's finding a pattern in the book. Does everyone understand the 40 days and 40 nights? Everyone's heard of this, right? All right, great. So in the Jubilees, chapter 3, verse 9 says, and after 40 days were completed for Adam in the land where he was created, we brought him into Gan Eden, or the Garden of Eden, so that he might work it and guard it. And on the 8th day, his Isha, or his wife, was also brought in. And after this, she entered into Gan Eden, or in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so if you believe in the book of Jubilees, they're sharing a pattern. Even it goes all the way back to Adam and Yahuah, right? Deborah Deuteronomy 9:9 says, when I was gone up into the mount to receive the tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant which Yahuah made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days, 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water. And Yahuah delivered unto me 2 tables of stones written with the finger of Elohim, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahuah spoken with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, Yahuah gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant. So we understand that during this time period, Israel was in the wilderness, right? Mark 1:12 and 13 says, and immediately Haruach, or the Spirit, drives him into the wilderness. Driving who into the wilderness? Okay, Yahusha. And he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of Shaitan, and was with the wild beasts, and the Malachim ministered unto him. So again, first Adam, 40 days, 40 nights. Second Adam, or the last Adam, if you will, 40 days, 40 nights. All right. So all events happened in the wilderness. Mount Sinai, or Mount Sinai event, was also in the wilderness. Our focus will be why the wilderness. We'll actually intro this, why the wilderness. Not so much the focus will be more on that next week. But why Adam? We will see the 2 Adams, but also us. We are called Adam as well, as mankind, right? So you're going to see from start to finish, there's something with this Adam. All right, so comparing text to see the pattern. Yeshayahu, or Isaiah 11:6 says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and felling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed their young, one shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. What is an asp? Huh? It's a poisonous snake like a cobra. What about a cockatrice? It's another type of snake. Both of them are dealing with snakes. Yeah, you ask yourself that question, right? What's up with this snake stuff? Okay. So then it says, verse 9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my Chodesh mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahuah as the waters cover the sea. 65, verse 25 says, the wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straws like the bullock, and the dust. And it says, and the dust shall be the serpent's lechem, or the serpent's food, commonly called the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my Chodesh mountains, saith Yahuah. So 11 says something, 65 says something about serpent. You know, there's going to be a whole bunch of serpent talk today, okay? 43:20 says, the beasts of the field shall honor me, and the dragons and the owls shall, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert to give drink to my people, my chosen. So in the first two passages, we will read that they are linked to a renewing of the earth and the heavens. So just remember 11, because we'll come back to that. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so a new thing, right? Yeshayahu, Isaiah 43:18-19 says, remember you not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert. Right? So we're going to remember 43 for later on. When you compare that with 65 verse 17, it says, for behold, I will create a new heaven and a new earth, and the former things shall not be remembered nor come into mind. So in 43:18, it says, remember you not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Isaiah 65:17 says, for behold, I create a new thing in heaven and earth, but it says, and the former things shall not be remembered nor come into mind. So something was this new thing, and something created a new heaven and earth. Is everyone with me so far? And in these things, you're not going to be concerned about certain things. You shouldn't be, right? On the first one and the second one, you will not. Verse 18 says, but be you glad. Now, in the JPS, it has in the Hebrew, it has key, but in the JPS is then. So it could say, for example, instead of the but be you glad, is be glad then and rejoice forever in that which I create for. And behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people, and the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. Now listen carefully, because this is talking about during this time of the new heaven and the new earth, right? 20 says, and there shall be no more than an infant of days, nor an old man that has not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinners being 100 years old shall be accursed. So in this new heaven and new earth, child shall die at 100 and something? Anyone have any thoughts about that?
Moreh?
Yeah.
Wasn't it because this is a new covenant that it was written that in the old covenant that man should not live past 120 years. So in the new covenant, man shall live past 120 years, which please correct me if I'm wrong, and that would be considered a child in the new covenant.
Okay, so, but the question really is, if this creating a new heaven and a new earth, why would there be dying?
Why would there be? I don't. Could you please
Anyone want to
answer
take a good
that?
guess at
Because I
this?
have no idea.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Tuda.
Anyone? Any takers? Okay, going once.
Hold on. I had to get the mic.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna take a guess. Those are the people who are not in the kingdom, like the other nations, or the people. When it says that the child will die at 100, and that the old person, because that person is a sinner, they will be accursed because they're the ones that are dying, and those who are in the kingdom are not dying. That's a guess.
Okay, you had something?
Something similar. So my understanding beforehand was that this was the 1,000-year reign right here, and that in the new kingdom, death has been swallowed up in victory and everything else. So people aren't dying anymore. So the only other way I can see this is, like my mom said, where this is the people who are on the outside of the gate, who are, dogs and, adulterers and things like that. That's why they're a curse for hundreds of years and everything else. They're still dying, but
Okay, so if I'm understanding you all correctly, you're stating this is a millennial reign.
That's one of two. That's one of two. The first
Okay.
one is that it's a millennial reign. The
Okay.
second one, this is not the millennial reign. This is the people that are on the outside of the gate, like Revelations 22 says.
So when you see in 20 it says, there shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor of old man that has not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years of old. But it says, but the sinner, meaning somebody different, but the sinner, and being 100 years old, shall be accursed. How does that work? I want to make sure I understand everyone correctly. Everyone still...
Just taking a stab at it.
Okay, don't cut yourself.
There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that has not fulfilled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. Okay, so this is saying that, in the new kingdom or the new heaven, new earth, these things shall no more be, right? We're not going to experience that anymore. And I think the emphasis right there was on for the child shall die at 100 years old. We do have people who here that live to 100 years old. But the sinner being of 100 years old shall be, I'm going to pass the mic back.
All right. All right. All right.
That was a good choice.
All right. All right. Let's hang the mic up. All right. So I want you to see this new or renewing of something. And it's specifically homing on a specific place, but I just want you to see there's a renewing. And when we hear new heaven and earth, we're always thinking about this earth burning away, or it's gone, and we're going to have this whole new heaven, new earth, versus seeing that there's layers or steps or stages to what's going to be happening. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right. I didn't finish? Okay. Oh, okay. Verse 19. 21. Okay. So it says, and they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of trees are the days of my people, and my elect shall long enjoy the works of their hand. So is his people, are these the ones that they're talking about just above? Right? I'm not talking about the sinners. Okay. And then it says, and they shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahuah, and their offspring with them.
Sliha Moreh. Could that be talking about what's going on now, where the elect are now starting to plant vineyards?
Okay, so not yet. when he creates the new heavens and the new earth. So when that takes place, then there's going to be a cleansing of Jerusalem. And from the cleansing of Jerusalem, there's going to be some inhabitation going on and some dwellings. And then that's when that's going to take place. Right now, Jerusalem is not clean.
So this is not the millennial portion.
Not yet. Mm-hmm. Right. So in the millennial, we'll see it later on, not today, but we'll see later on how the millennial works in relation to this new heaven and new earth. Okay. I'm not sure. Is he outside? Where'd he go? Where's he at? He outside?
All he said was, so this is not the last lesson.
Oh, it's predetermined. I don't know. I'm just walking by faith. That's it. Faith come by. All right. Yes. All right. So the chapters to remember, right? So remember I told you, remember some of these, which was 11 and 43. Now 11 is going to be very important. So it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, Yahuah shall set his hand again, second time, to recover the remnant of his people, which will be left. Now, everyone's going to be reading from right to left. Okay? And do I have any takers? It'll be slow. Okay? Ma'ashor. Umi Mitzrayim. Umi Patros. Yeah, Umi Kush. Ume Elam. Okay, close. Okay. Umi Shanar. Okay, Ume Hamat. Good. Ume Iye and Hayam. What does that say? Okay, great. Right here. Okay. So Assyria and from Egypt and from Petros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. Okay. So I think this will be easier so everyone can see the translation there. Great. Now we can let that go away and let's keep going. And he shall set up an ensign or a banner for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel or Yisrael and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. Okay, so when he's gathering Israel from the four corners of the earth and all these things are supposed to happen, you can see that it's going to be linked to the cleansing and the renewing of the earth and heaven, if you will, of that area for sure. Is everyone with me so far? Now, I'm not sharing with you that it's not going to talk. Now, the word earth, eretz, right, means land. Okay? All right. 43:16 says, thus saith Yahuah, which makes a way in the sea and a path in the mighty waters, which brings forth the chariots and the horses, the army and the power. They shall lie down together. They shall not rise. They are extinct. They are quenched as wick. So I put these are directly connected to the second Exodus. Okay. Second Exodus. When you look at what we have gone over thus far, we see a connection. New heaven and earth, a new thing. Animals will not attack each other. Okay. Keep that in mind. Of course, I put, what do you see? Okay, animals not going to attack you. See that? Okay, good, good. Anyone else?
I see that garden, man.
Right.
I see the garden.
There's a garden thing happening here. You see no one? You see Adam and Eve running because some bull was coming after him, or right? Okay.
Look. Here you go. Right. You got this pattern that we're seeing. We never experienced anything like this. So this would, to us would be a new heaven and a new earth, the way we would be interacting with each other and with everything. So we'd be under the government of the wicked rule would be over.
Mm-hmm.
and the Mashiach rule will be in.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a whole new thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
This will be the new thing
for everybody that's alive to experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we'll continue on with 46 here. 11 and 46, but it says 11. So now remember this 11:1. Now I'm back at 1. So you remember we saw everything but the beginning of 11. So if we're talking about the animals is going to be fine, and we're seeing this gathering happening. Now we just go verse 1. It says, "And these shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Yeshai or Jesse, and a branch, a samach, shall grow out of his roots. And the spirit of Yahuah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of fear of Yahuah, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahuah, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek and of the earth, and he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reign." Right? So we come after, so what comes after this verse, keep in mind 1 through 5 is about a messianic prophecy. Right? So we all agree that this messianic prophecy is talking about, someone had a mic?
Yahusha.
Oh, hallelujah. Okay, so we believe this is Yahusha, right? So I want you to start putting something together. Yahusha, the beginning of 11, and the next thing you know, there's something about animals won't be attacking or anything like that. Is this like him being like the Adam in the garden where he was there and the animals wasn't attacking him? Is everyone starting to see what's happening? Okay, great. Then after 5, look at 6. Of course, we says the wolf and also dwell in the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion, and fatling together, and little children shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed their young. Young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the suckling of the child shall play of the hole of the asp, and weaned children shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. So remember, you go from the actual anointed one, he's going to do something, right? And after he does this, this comes next, right? All right, then animals, humans are in harmony as the animals and humans were in harmony in the garden. Okay, that's my little add thing. Then 11:10, and in that day there shall be a root of Yeshai, which shall stand for an ensign or banner of his people, to shall Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. Now, when this happens during this time of rest, who's coming after him to see him?
The nations.
The nations, the Gentiles are coming to see this. So how does that link to the garden? This whole purpose was to have dominion over the earth, right? So he's supposed to spread this. And then that same order was given to Israel to be a nation of priests to go to the nations. You see, so all this is all connected. Is everyone with me so far? All right, great.
So, Moreh, I have a question.
Sure.
So, in the scriptures where we talked about where Yahuah said that he was going to make us a nation of kings and priests, is this the time where it's going to be fulfilled, that basically what you're talking about?
Right. So when Mount Zion happens, then it's going to happen then. When they finally get to the mountain, just like at Sinai, they was at a mountain, then they all agreed. When you get to Zion, they're going to agree, and it's going to fulfill what he set out for it to fulfill for in the original place. All right, so anyone want to read this here? Mashiach hufach et ma she'adam harishon atzeh. Anyone know what that says? Okay, so Mashiach is going to reverse what Adam first did or has done. Technically, it's in its command form. Has done. Okay? All right, so we'll keep going. You had something? Oh, okay. All right. All right, so back to the wilderness. All right, so Israel, or Israel, will be in the wilderness together with the beasts. Therion in the lexicon, the same word that was used in Mark 1:13. So here's Mark 1:13. He says, and he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of Shaitan or Satan, right? And was with the wild beasts. And the Malachim ministered unto him. So if we believe the Malachims are also in the garden, so to speak, and the wild beasts, now what winds up happening is same thing was in the garden back then. Was Shaitan, so to speak, or the serpent in that garden? He didn't do too well. But here you see the Mashiach did very well. And then after that, here comes him able to hang out with the wild beasts and the Malachim. So you're seeing the reverse of what's happening in the garden. Is everyone okay so far? All right. So if we put this picture together, we can see that Yeshayahu chapter 11 or Isaiah chapter 11, it shows a time that will resemble Gan Eden or the Garden of Eden. If you believe that the first Adam was in the wilderness for 40 days and nights and then placed in the Gan Eden, then was tempted or tested and failed the test, Mashiach being called Adam also was tempted by Hashatan, but overcame his words, now is with the ministering Malachims and the wild beasts. Yeshayahu 65:22 says, they shall not build and another inhabit. They should not plant and another eat. For the days of the tree, and then remember, in the Septuagint has as the days of the tree of life. Okay, are the days of my people, and men's elect shall long enjoy the works of their hand. I just gave you the Targums, which says the same thing. It says, they will not build while other inhabits, they will not plant while others eat, for the days of my people will be as the days of the tree of life. And my chosen ones will wear out the works of their hand. Okay, so everyone's okay so far. All right, so remember verse 25 says, which we understand this here about the serpent. The dust of the serpent is for food. Why is this in 625? What do you see here? Since I already pointed out wolf and the lamb, the graves together shall eat straw, ox dust, but the dust shall be for the serpent's food. Is that something that was said in the garden?
Okay.
All right, great. All right, crafty serpent of the field. Genesis 3:1 says, now the serpent was more subtle, more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahuah Elohim has made. And he said unto the woman, yea, has Elohim said you should not eat of every tree of the garden? All right, so of course I highlighted a couple of things here. So first, think about all levels of beast, right? So right now we're talking about in the garden about beasts, right? However, there are a list of things where from this word there are levels of beasts. You got the evil beast, great beast, you got the brute beast, you got the four beasts they're talking about in Revelations. So there's a lot, and he's over all the beasts. You know, it's his world, if you will. But I'm saying we're not going to go through all of that. I figure you guys need your own study on it. I just gave you some highlights of some things that you guys can look at. All right, so now keep in mind something. First, let me go back. So 3:14 says, and Elohim Yahuah said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life, which we agree to, right? Matthew 13:24 says, and another parable put the forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man, Adam, who sowed good seed in his field. Okay, Adam sows this good seed in his field. 38, verse 30 says, the field is the world, and the good seed is the Son of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one. Does weeds have seeds? They do. What's the difference between a weed and a seed that he planted? Who's talking? I heard something.
Yes, a weed is a weed is in a garden where it's not wanted. I mean, you could even have a flower that's in a cabbage garden or whatever, but it's not wanted there, so therefore it's viewed as a weed.
Okay.
Okay. Weeds also choke the other plants.
Mm-hmm.
Tangle them up pretty good.
Okay, because their roots go really deep.
Yeah.
But also, what's very important about a weed is it can lie dormant for a long time. No matter how much water, sunlight, it can lie dormant for a long time. It can even go through concrete, break through things. You got to see this, the weed that's being sown is, if you understand what's happening in this parable, this weed can choke you, but it also can be dormant and waiting for certain things as well. Okay. And the one that sowed that seed is Hashatan, right? All right. So keep that in mind. Now, verse 39 says the enemy that sowed them is the devil. If you get a Hebrew translation of the Brit Kadeshah, it says Hashatan. Okay. So the one that sowed it is Hashatan. The harvest is the end of the world. And it keeps going on. But if the harvest is the end of the world, and we said the field is the, keep this in mind. So in Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between you or your seed and her seed, right? Now, in 38, it talks about the seed, and then talks about Shatan's weed or his seed, right? Here you see there's going to be a fight. So there's always going to be a fight between these seeds, always. And this fight is where? As it says, the field is the, so the fight is going to be in the field. The field is the world. So this world is going to be fighting. These two seeds are always going to be fighting in this world. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, now, 2 Corinthians 4:2 says, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty and walking in craftiness, not handling the word of Elohim deceitfully. And then verse 4 says, in whom the Eloah, technically the Elohim of this world. Okay, so this Elohim of this world, and you see dealing with deceitfully, craftiness. You can see from Corinthians, Matthews, it all goes back to the garden. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. So now, the field was taken over by the serpent. Okay, so this field is called the world, and now he becomes the Elohim of. Okay, great. The field is the world. The serpent became the prince of this world. 2 Corinthians 4:4. I put the full thing in there as you read before. And then underneath says Hashatan is called the Elohim of this world. He blinds who? He blinds and makes void of light, without light, binding the minds of the unbeliever. Okay? So, the other part's cut off, but I decided to raise up just in case here, because I wasn't sure how this is going to go down. The word for blind. Blind. Look at what the word for blind is. So the adjective meaning what? It denotes human and animal blindness. It then refers to the object without light or access. Blind alleys, and also to what is invisible or concealed. So the verb of it means to make blind, to rob of sight, passive to go blind, to be blinded, and less strictly to render or be ineffectual. Now, the enemy or the Elohim of this world is creating something for you to, he's trying to blind you so that you don't see this light, right? Is everyone with me so far? So his seed is trying to, you said choke. Everyone agrees that what a weed does, it chokes, so you can't see what you need to see, right? All right. So what must happen in order to regain the field? Okay, we know the field is the, okay, and that wouldn't be, that picture be a dead giveaway, right? All right, so what must happen in order to regain the world? What must we do?
The weeds have to be removed.
Okay, so they said the weed have to be removed. Okay, so let's look at something. Mark 3:27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. So one of the ministries of Mashiach was, or Yahushua was, casting out demons. He defeats Hashatan and had brought creation into captivity through his deception, right? So everyone understand what Shaitan did. And then the deception of Adam and Chawah, Adam and Eve, is being overturned by the seed. Remember, we're talking about the war here. So the seeds are at war in the field. This was what Genesis chapter 3 is referring to. A time will come where we will crush his head. For this to happen, the reverse of what happened in the garden must take place. What was that? I think everybody went outside, didn't they? Huh? I don't know. Everyone's outside.
It was sin.
Okay.
Sin into the
Welcome
garden.
back in the building. You said sin?
Sin
Okay.
into the garden.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what must be removed.
Okay. Anyone else?
Or reversed.
Uh-oh. Someone's outside. Yeah. Sharat, don't worry. Sharat's going to get you. Thank you. Thank you.
Deception was in the garden.
Okay. Deception was in the garden. Anyone else? You see, you forgot. Okay. All right. He sowed a seed in the mind of Adam and Chawah. So if he sowed that seed, now you hear there's going to be enmity between seeds, then that means, again, the fight is with the seed, right? And then now the parable is this. The seed is in the garden. He's challenging the Father's word. So this is what the fight's going to be. His word against the serpent's word, or the seed, if you will, okay? His seeds or his words against the Father's word or seed. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. Then, of course, it says, those by the wayside are they that hear, or they're hearing the word or the seed, right? Then comes who? Hashatan, and takes away the word out of their hearts, right? He's going to try to choke you. He's going to try to kill you. He's going to make you blind, lest they should and be saved. Okay? So he knows what to do, and technically we know, right? So in order for this thing to happen, you have to bind that strong man. Now, question is I know it's nobody in here, anything like that. So everyone, and online, everybody should be relaxed. Some people may have that strong man inside of them. Right now, if you're saying, hey, are you trying to tell me I got the devil inside of me? Some people, yes. All right. But in general, I'm saying is there are things that we have inherited from that seed. And some of us don't want to let that thing go. So you have to bind that thing that's within you first in order for you to be effective going forward. Okay.
That's just like you just said. The weed can stay dormant until it's ready to pounce or come up. So that's how.
Yeah, some of us have weeds. Right. Some of us have weeds. It's dormant until someone does something to you.
Yeah,
Right. Or you recognize something or it reminds you of something. And all of a sudden, here comes that weed. I thought that thing was out of me, but apparently it's all right. So that strong man, you don't know how strong he is. Oh, okay. You might win this battle. Let me go pine away a little bit. But there's a war still within you.
yeah,
See,
those some
Moreh.
bullets
That's
that
just like what Moreh Lamadyahu was saying, like a bullet in the chamber, right?
Uh-huh.
Well,
Oh
it's
yeah.
well, that's how
Absolutely.
I remember it. The same concept, correct? They're like triggers.
Uh-huh. I couldn't hear you say it again.
They're like it's like a trigger, you know, like when
Uh-huh.
I was studying what he was teaching also, and also what you're saying. It's like, you know, we have these issues and stuff. Someone says something to us, and you know, if we haven't dealt with it, we explode.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like a bullet in the chamber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And if you think about it nowadays, what's the common term out there? Oh, he's triggered.
Mm-hmm.
She's triggered.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone agrees, right? So in order for this thing to work, and you got to bind this strong man, you must know the Father's word. That word can set you free. All right. But then you have to do what with that word? You got to believe it and do it. You can't just, oh, I know what it says. But if your faith is not in what it says, then that strong man has still got a hold of you.
Question: in this context here, the strong man is represented as something negative.
Mm-hmm.
Can it also be looked at both positive as well, like the strong man being faith and your faith is being bound up so that the righteous words be taken away?
Well, if it's supposed to make you free, right, then it have to be his word gives you liberty versus something that binds you. Now you can have protection in the home and things like that, and be secured. If you want to consider that binding, then I would say it's a little loose. But the point would be is for this, we definitely know that why this is in the negative, because we're trying to work within ourselves, you know, first cleaning ourselves out. But sometimes it's hard because there's some things that we either been through, we inherited, something to that effect, to where even when you come into the walk, you're still carrying some of that stuff with you. But you want to do the Father's work, but there's still a stronghold or a strong man still holding you down. Okay. All right. So by casting out the devil and his forces, Yahushua was accomplishing the latter day defeat of Shaitan that Adam should have accomplished in the garden. The blindness or darkness needs to be removed so that we can see and understand the light. When we understand the light, we must do it. Shaitan blinds, Yahushua allows us to see. This light is Yahuwah's word, right? Everyone knows other scriptures that talks about what the light is, right? So we don't need to go through those things. All right, so test. Matthews, you remember we went over this last week, and says unto him, if you be of the son of Elohim or Eloah, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his malakim charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against the stone. Right? Now, where was this written? Everyone knows it's in Psalms, right? Psalms somewhere. Got it. We got it here. 91. So it says, for he shall give his malachims charge over you to keep you in all your ways. They shall bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon lion and adder and young lion, and the serpent shall you trample underfoot. Think about what's happening here. The same thing here that he was tested by, he answers it, but the very next verse tell you what? And it's actually has an underline on it, just in case you. Yeah. And the serpent shall you. Okay, you see what's happening here? again, something that Adam should have done, he's doing, and he's using the scriptures to refute him, and he's now trampling the serpent under his foot, just like it says in Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, right? So he's showing you back in the garden what should have happened. Okay, is everyone good so far? So just a quick note, Hashatan knows the scriptures. I don't want you guys to think that, he don't know. He knows the scriptures. If you are doing your studies and praying, you can be subjected to his lies and partial truth. He's not gonna win over with all lies. He has to mix that thing up. That's why he hates mixing. Yeah, he said it, but are you sure he said it that way? All I need is just add a little bit or take away a little bit, and I got you. Right? So Yahushua's refusal to follow Shaitan's advice during the wilderness temptations was the beginning victory over Shaitan prophesied in Mizmor, or in the Psalms. Okay, so the 70 given authority. So Luke 10:17 says, the 72 turned with joy, saying, Adonai, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And he said unto them, I saw Shaitan fall like lightning from heaven. Okay, so why would he put that in the same context? Anyone? First, I was talking about, hey, Adonai, even the demons are subject to your name. He said, yeah, I saw him fall like lightning. Anyone know? Okay. This is from your household, right? Represent. Talk to us. Yes, out of the mouth of babes.
Because he may have been doing right things, but I feel like he's been holding on to worse things from the past.
Okay. All right. So it says, behold, I have given you authority to tread on. Why we keep talking about this serpent? Okay. And scorpions, and over all the powers of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. Right? So when things start to happen, don't be getting joyous and happy because of certain things. He said, listen, don't do that. Just be happy when? Just know that your name is written in Shemayim, or in heaven. All right? Bring down all that pride and all that stuff down, right? Okay, because who's the one giving you this authority? Okay, that's all. I got you. No worry. It's all good. I saw you come upstairs. All right. So the Talmudim are working in the field to heal the people of Israel, or Israel, or Yashrael, that have been tormented by demons. The authority that Yahushua gave to his bride was to show them how to have dominion over things that are unclean. Remember, he's back in the garden. They're supposed to have this dominion. This unclean thing was inside them. They first needed to be made, set apart, and made clean. Then they can help others in the field to be made clean. First, start in your own home. Before you're going out there, start telling everybody some stuff. Clean your own house out, right? Sometimes you want to clean everybody's house, and yours is dirty. It's unclean, right?
Yeah, you got that log in your eye.
Yeah, he said, you got that log in your eye. Take that plank out. All right. So again, think about what's happening here. He's trying to reverse the things that has happened in the garden. All right. So throughout the scriptures, we see the theme of overcoming and treading on the serpent. Trampling on the serpent on the foot. This is the Testament of Levi. Everyone's familiar with that, right? Pretty old book. So it says, and the Chabod, the esteem of Elion, translated as Most High, shall burst forth upon him, and the spirit of understanding and purification shall rest upon him. Okay. Now, let me see if I added that thing. Yeah. So here, you guys see where that's located. We read earlier about the spirit of Yahuah being upon someone, right? So it says, and the spirit of Yahuah shall rest upon him, and the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge, and of the fear of Yahuah. So again, in the Testament, we're talking about a specific person. All right. So verse 8 says, for he shall give the majesty of Yahuah to those who are his sons in truth forever. And there shall be no successor for him from generation to generation forever. And in his priesthood, the nations shall be multiplied in knowledge on the earth, and they shall be illuminated by the favor of Yahuah. But Israel shall be diminished by her ignorance and darkened by her grief. In his priesthood, sin shall cease, and lawless men shall rest from their evil deeds, and righteous men shall find rest in him. And he shall open the gates of paradise, or Gan Eden. He shall remove the sword that has threatened since Adam. Right? Remember that sword that kept him out? He said, now, in this person, we say is the Mashiach, in his priesthood, he's getting this all reversed, right? And his saints can eat of the tree of life, verse 11, and he will grant the saints to eat of the tree of life. The spirit of set apartness shall be upon them. And you can read also these places in Revelations, right? Revelation chapter 22, verse 2, verse 4, verse 13, verse 19. All right. And Belial shall be bound by him, and he shall grant to his children the authority to trample upon wicked spirits. Okay, here we go with this trampling thing going on. His spirits, his seed, right? Is everyone seeing the connection? All right. Testament of Levi continues, says, then Shem shall be esteemed because Yahuah Elohim, the great one in Israel, or Israel, will be manifest upon the earth as a man. By himself, with himself will he save Adam. So here it is, it's saying, hey, Elohim's going to take on a man form, and it says he's going to do something, right? He's manifest on the earth. By himself, he will save Adam, or mankind. Then shall the spirits of error shall be given over to being trampled underfoot, and men will have majesty over the evil spirits. Then I shall arise in gladness, and I shall bless the Elyon for his marvel, because Elohim has taken a body, eat with human beings, and save human beings. Okay? So I put this here because we're going to have to talk about this in the future, but think about 2 Samuel 22:14. It says, Yahuah thundered from Shemayim, or from heaven, right? Then it says, and Elyon uttered his voice. So we got to get into, a little bit more of this in the future. Okay, so in the future, we can explore the full breakdown of El Elyon. We did majority of it before. We did the Elohim, but, I might do some more in the future. I might be in Israel at that time. Oh, man. Thank you, Father. All right, so all the passages seem to point back to Bereshit, Genesis 3:15, of which seems to be interpreting bruising of the head of the serpent as trampling him underfoot. Okay? Reversing what Shaitan has caused. So Yahushua's victory over Shaitan in the wilderness, which you read earlier, Matthew 12:14-16, caused the repairing of the nation of Israel. After defeating the devil in the promised land, he being to fulfill prophecy in the book of Isaiah. Well, I highlighted that only because we'll see that later on in the slides. So in Matthew 4:18, it says, and Yahushua walked by the sea of Hagalil, or the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Shimon called Kepha, and Andre, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their net and followed him. And going on from there, he saw two other brethren, Yaakov, son of Zebedee, and Jonathan, his brother, in the ship with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. So I put, as Mashiach gathered his 12 Talmudim, the job was supposed to be, their job was to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You remember this, right? And then, of course, we read that here. Matthew 15:24 says, but I answered, said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right. Why is this necessary to know? Why does he need to say that he's going to the lost sheep of the house of Israel? Oh, she came in. Okay. You can give it. There you go. Uh-huh.
He said that because that's what his ultimate goal, to revive his people that was disobedient to him. They got scattered, and he wanted to bring them back.
Okay.
And also, and that's who he had the covenant with. That's what the Father had the covenant with, which was the 12 tribes of Yasharal.
Okay. And I want you to make this clear, where it says, but he answered, said, I am not sent, but unto. Who sent him is who?
The Father sent him.
So the Father sent him, and he's saying what the Father told him, right? So this must happen first because there's a sequence, okay, that we'll talk about later. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a pattern to this. All right, so the Talmudim. That's why these Talmudim? Why these specific 12? Mark 16:15 says, and he said unto them, go ye into all the world and preach the Besorah to every creature. Luke 24:49 says, and behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you, but tarry you in the city of Jerusalem until you be endowed with power from on high. And there were dwelling at Yehudim, Yushalayim, devout men out of every nation and under heaven. And verse 7 says, and they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these speak Galilean? Now, so I just put on here just real quick for the notes. I said many knew the difference between the Yahudim and the Galilean, or the Galileans. Okay, a lot of the Galilean were from Benjamin, from the tribe of Benjamin. When Kepha denied Mashiach, one said to him, what? And he denied again, and a little after that, they stood by and said again to Kepha, surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean, and your speech agrees thereto. Okay? So they know what a Galilean sounds like. Mm-hmm. So he said, and about the space of 1 hour after another, confidently affirmed, saying of a truth, this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean. So they understood this. All right, so I'll read it from left to right. The Yehudim, Benjamin, Haluim, or the Levites, and Hachoim, and the priests. And I put dash and the lost sheep, right? So Ezra 1:5 says, there arose upon the chief of the fathers of Yehuda and Benjamin and the Kohanim and Haluim, or the Levites, with all them whose spirit Elohim has raised to go up to build the house of Yahuah, which is in Jerusalem. So again, take note that the spirit of Elohim raised a certain amount of people to go build his house, right? Not everybody went, but just whose spirit Elohim had raised to go do this. So the southern tribe returns to the land of Jerusalem. The northern tribe is located where? Where? Now,
in Asia, Europe.
Okay, remember, Yahushua said he goes to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Where are they? So he went all over the place? Who's that? Who? Someone? Oh, hey, okay. So,
He was in Israel.
okay. All right. So keep this in mind. You guys already heard where he was, where they are, but we'll keep, I'll share. All right. So think about this. This is Yeshayahu 9:1. It says, nevertheless, the demise shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations, or the Galilee of the nations. All right. So first part, does anyone think this? Well, I'll read verse 2. It says, and the people that walked in darkness have been as great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them has light shined. All right, so this is a prophecy, of course, and then we see it in Isaiah 9:6. Before we do 9:6, why is this portion of 9:1 important? Mm-hmm. Land of Zebulun, land of Naphtali, and then it talks about, behind the Garden of Galilee and the nations. Why is this important? What happened in those lands? You said who? You said who's that?
Northern tribe, where Syria came down and took a lot of them out. Some of the poorest of the poor stayed there, but then they brought other people in.
Okay.
And there was a mixture going on up there.
Okay. So, verse 6. Now, mind you, they're lost for a couple of reasons. When we think about they were taken away by the Assyrian captivity, everyone's familiar with that story, right? And then not only that, they also lost something. They were given a bill of. Okay, so they're lost in a lot of different ways. And then there was a mixing with other nations. And I'll give you an example of one today. All right, so verse 6 says, for unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Pele. Okay, everyone's with me, right? Pele, what else? Yoetz, El Gibor, Abiyad, and Sar Shalom. Right? And for those that say, hey, I don't know what you just said, it's in 9:6 where it says, wonderful counselor, the mighty El, the everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Okay? And of the increase of his government and the peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Yahuah of hosts, or Yahuah Sibaot, will perform this. All right, so let's look. Matthew says the same thing that Isaiah says. So it says, and leaving Nazareth, or Nazareth, he came and dwelt in, where's this place at? Kfar Nahum, which is Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast and in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali, that it might be fulfilled what was spoken in Yeshayahu, which we just read, the prophet saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. Okay, so everyone sees what's happening, why he's fulfilling Isaiah's portion of it. And then it says in 16, the people which sat in darkness saw the great light. So who's the great light?
The word, the Mashiach.
Okay, so the Mashiach became the great light. They were in darkness. And to them was set in the region and shadow of death, light is spring up. So here comes the light to where this place is in Naphtali and Zebulun, in that area of Galilee. right? Same place where they were taken. Now, in 2 Kings 17:24, it says the king of Ashur, right, of Syria, brought men from Babel or from Babylon. So this king brings some people from Babylon and from Kuta and from, as it would say, Avarwa, and from Hamat and from Sepharwayim, and placed them in the cities of Shimron. Where's that? Where's Shimron? Samaria, right? Instead of the children of Israel. So in that land, what wound up happening is he's taking people from these different places and put them in the land. And this is why they become the land of the Gentiles. Okay? And then it says, and they possess Shimron and dwelt in these cities thereof. So now it's a land mixed with a whole bunch of Assyrians, some I'll leave it alone. Anyway, so the point is that there's a mixture of people in there, in that land. So when they get released, where are they going back to? They're going back to this land that's now mixed with other nations. All right. So during the time of Yahushua, the Benjaminites were more prevalent in the north around the Galilean area. So the tribe of Benjamin were known as Galilean. Okay? Mind you, well, I'll be jumping ahead. So what I find interesting is Yahushua from the tribe of Yehuda was using the tribe of Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. Benjamin means son of my right hand, to awaken the 12 tribes. Okay? Next, Yehuda Ish Kariot. Who is that? Yeah, Judas Iscariot. His name is Yehuda Ish Kariot. Was mixed and was part of Yehuda and part of Edom. Okay? From the land of Moab, and you can read this in Amos chapter 2, verse 2. He was replaced by another Benjaminite. You can see that in Acts chapter 2, verse 7. Even Shaul was from the tribe of Benjamin. So notice, all of the son of my right hand is going to see the lost tribes of Israel. Now, man, this was the southern tribe going to the northern tribe. Okay? All right, any questions so far?
How do you know that Judas was mixed with Edom?
Because of his name, Kariot or Iscariot.
Oh, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gathering the 12 tribes. So when looking at this from a prophetic view, the southern tribe or the sticks of Yehuda is going to be the northern tribe, which is a stick of Ephraim. What was needed first was healing. So after the test in the earlier parts of Matthew chapter 4, the chapter continues with restoration of his people. So 23 goes on and says, Yahushua went about all of Galilee, teaching in the big Knesset, commonly called the synagogue, and preaching the Basar, the good news of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and all manners of diseases among the people. And his fame went throughout all Aram, commonly called Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were a lunatic, and those that had palsy, and he healed them. And there followed him a great multitude of people from Galil, and from Dekpolim, and from Jerusalem, and from Yehuda, and from beyond the Yarden, or the Yarden. So, of course, I put over here, are these places not the places of the promised land that was given to the 12 tribes? So the 12 tribes, you'll notice that these are all those areas. So he's going to try to restore this, the beginning of the restoration or the regathering of the people. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. So fulfilling prophecies in the book of Isaiah. So of course, Matthew 11:4 And 5, it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, go and you show Yochanan again those things which you do hear and see. The blind receive the sight, and the lame walks, lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear, and the dead are raised up, and the poor have the basar preached to them. Isaiah says, then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame walk, and as a heart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall water break out, and streams in the desert. 42 verse 7 says, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison houses. In verse 16, and I will bring the blind by way that they knew not, and I will lead them in the path that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These are the things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. So again, he's fulfilling things in prophecy of Isaiah. Is everyone seeing what's happening here? This restoration, and then fulfilling the things that the prophets talked about. Yahushua's authority. All right, so Matthew 20:18 says, and Yahushua came and spoke unto them, saying, all power is given unto me, heaven and in earth. So the power is given to him. Daniel 7:13 and 14 says, now I saw in a night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with clouds of Shamayim, or heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and esteem, and a kingdom that all people, nations, and tongues should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. You mirror that with Matthew 24, verse 29 and 30, which says, immediately after the tribulation. Hence, I want you to understand for the future lessons, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the power of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in Shamayim, or heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great esteem. Now, if you remember, we've already went over this in the previous lessons in this series. So if you have a question, you can go back to that part. All right. Light and darkness. So next week, I may continue to bring out the fight between light and darkness, but in a way that affects our growth. For example, all of us were conceived in darkness. All seeds are planted in darkness, i.e. the earth. Light and water is needed to grow and produce things that have fruit and or seeds. There is always a helper to make this happen. So if you have no helper, no light or no water, and you stay in darkness, how will you mature? How will you produce good fruit? All scriptures show an agricultural theme. The same elements needed to grow fruit in life is the same for mankind. Another way of looking at this is that we all come from the earth. Most things that a plant needs, we need. How does this work for evil spirits and righteous spirits? There is a connection between spiritual realm and the natural. We may need to explore this a little deeper if we have time. So the reason I'm putting this up here is only because I want to keep going with the whole book, but this will kind of put it aside because this will be like me going through a lot of different books, and that's just only catering to that. So that's why I'm saying that, not like I'm leaving out of here and we're not coming back or something like that. So it's different. All right. So any questions?
Slika Moreh.
Ken?
So you said we may continue this series with light and darkness. I have to ask this question. Is it only because you may be leaving and going into the land?
No, So I was saying that the series will still continue while I'm here, but the light and darkness, I'm saying that in itself could be a different series.
Okay.
Just for clarification, in the the new heaven and new earth, will there be death? From what I've seen right there.
Right. So there will be, because there's a difference between a time of a new heaven and earth, when there's going to be technically a renewing of the heaven and earth, versus a time when our bodies are changed. That's a different time period. And the whole earth burns with a fervent heat. So it's a different time period. Okay, anyone else? All right. Just in time. Hallelujah. I told you I can make it by 1600. I mean, where we at? 1800.